Howdy, howdy. It's your favorite dragon, and we are in Yule, so it doesn't matter that you can't really see my eyes. Because the dragon is going to read you a Yuletide story. It's not basically about Yule, but it's appropriate for Yule. It is the Grimnismal, which is from the Poetic Edda. Again, I love Dr. Jackson Crawford, and this translation is his translation. Love it. Highly recommend it. But that is where the story comes from, and then here we go. Sit back and let the dragon tell you a Yuletide story. The Grimnismal. Concerning the sons of King Harathung. King Harathung had two sons. One was named Agnar and the other Garot. Agnar was 10 years old and Garot was 8. Now the two of them rowed out in a boat with their fishing tackle and hoped to catch some small fish. But the wind drove them far out into the sea. In the dark night they wrecked and went up to the land where they met a poor farmer. And they stayed there with him over the winter. Now the farmer's old wife fostered Agnar, but the farmer fostered Garot and tutored him. Early in the spring, the man gave them a boat, and when he and his wife followed them down the shore, the man spoke to Garot in secrecy. The boys departed, and the wind was favorable. They came to their father's harbor, and then Garot, who stood foremost in the boat, sprang up on land and shoved the boat back out to sea and said, "Go wherever the trolls take you." The boat drifted far out to sea with Agnar. But Garot went inland to his father's hall. He was received well, but he learned that his father had died, so Garot was taken as king, and he became a famous man. Odin and Frigg sat in Hillskalf and looked out over all the world, and Odin said, "Look how your foster son Agnar sits and fathers children on a troll woman in a cave, while my foster son Garot is king and rules the land." Well, Frigg said, "But Garot is so stingy with food that he starves his guests as if he thinks there are too many." Odin said that this was a tremendous lie, and so he and Frigg made a wager about it. Then Frigg sent her servant Fulla to Garot and had Fulla warned him that a sorcerer had come to the land. But this sorcerer could be recognized by the fact that even the fiercest dog would not attack him. It was, in fact, an idle rumor that Garot was miserly with his food. All the same, he ordered any man who would not be attacked by any dog to be apprehended. Odin came wearing a blue cape and called himself Shadow-Faced, but said nothing more of himself even when asked. So the king had him tortured in an effort to extract more information from him, and had him placed between two burning fires where he sat for 8 nights. King Garot had a 10-year-old son named Agnar, after the king's brother. Agnar went to the Shadow-Face and gave him a full horn to drink and said he thought his father was behaving poorly to torture a man without cause. Shadow-Face drank. By then the fire had grown so large that it had begun to burn his cloak. Then Shadow-Face said, "You're hot, fire, and much too big. Get away from me, flames. My coat is getting burned. Even though I'm holding it up, my clothing is on fire. I've sat between the fires here for 8 nights, and no one offered or gave me food, except Agnar alone. Now Agnar will be the sole ruler of the lands of the Goths. Hail, Agnar. It is the chief of the gods who's wishing you well. You will never be repaid so well for one drink, no matter how long you live. I see a holy land which lies near those of the gods and the elves. In that place, true time, Thor will live till Ragnarok. Ole has built good halls for himself in Yoldir. The gods gave Frey the land of Alfheim long ago as a gift in his youth. Oh, actually, it's Freud. The gods gave Freud the land of the Alfheim long ago as a gift in his youth. I know of a third place where happy gods live beneath the silver roof. It's called Valskalf, the place Odin made himself in the old days. A fourth hall is Sorkbeck, which the cool waves wash upon. There Odin and Saga drink happily every day from golden cups. A fifth land is Gladsheim, where gold bright wide Valhalla stands. That is where Odin chooses from the men killed by weapons every day. Valhalla is easily recognized if one comes to see it. The hall is held up by spear shafts. It is roofed by shields. Chainmail is on the beaches. Valhalla is easily recognized if one comes to see it. A wolf hangs above the western door and an eagle above him. Thjassi, the mighty giant, once lived in the sixth hall and is known as Tirmheim. And now Skadi, bright bride of the gods, lives in her father's old home. Balder himself, a hall, and it is called Breithablik. That's a place where I know you'll find little grief. Heimdall inhabits the eighth hall. Himenborg, that is where he, the master. In that pleasant house, the watchman of the gods happily drinks his good mead. Freya rules the ninth land, Folkthang. That is where she arranges the seats. She chooses half the dead who die in battle, and Odin takes the other half. The 10th hall, Gletnir, with gold walls and a silver roof. The god named Forsadi is there on most days, and he settles disputes. The 11th hall is Nort, which he built and named Notrun. That flawless lord of men rules that high timbered temple. The wide land is Vitar, is overgrown with high grass and weeds. That bold son of Odin is preparing himself to avenge his father on horseback. And Dremer, the cook, that lets the pork from Samranir cook in the cauldron Eldrunir. There is no better meat, and there are few who know what Eljar eats. Battle-winning Odin feeds his tanned wolves, Jerry and Freki. But for his part, weapon-loving Odin lives on wine alone. Thought and memory, my ravens, fly every day, the whole world. Each day I fear that thought might not return, but I fear more for memory. The way of thunder, and the Midgard servant makes his home in Fenrir Sea. Dead men will find that sea passage too wide to wade. Valgrind, a holy gate with holy doors upon a field. The gate is old, and there are few who know how it is locked. Thor's hall, Bilsknir, has 640 rooms, if all are counted. And I am certain that of all roofed houses, Thor's is the largest. I think Valhalla has 640 doors, if all are counted. 800 Einhajar when walk through each, when the day comes to fight Fenrir. There is a goat named Heitrun who stands on Odin's hall and gnaws the limbs of the tree Lerith. That goat fills Valhalla's cup with bright mead from her udders, and that drink will never diminish. There's a stag named Eichtinir who stands in Odin's hall and gnaws the limbs of the tree Lerith. Drops fall from his horns into the well Helgamir, that is the origin of all the rivers. The rivers Sith, Birth, Saken, Eikens, Vol, Gunthro, Fridjorn, Fumbatul, Rhine, Renati, Gapul, Gopul. Gomur, Garvamur, Tin, and Veen, Toll and Hole, these conceal the gods' riches. Another river is Vina, another Vexvin, a third Tonuma, also neat and not known Horon, Fleeth, Hris, Slig, Yig, Vilf, Bon, Vond, Strand, Kajol, Leipt. These rivers flow near the men who die and go to hell. Thor will wade 4 rivers every day, the ones called Komt and Omt, and the 2 rivers Kerlaug when he goes to meeting at the tree Yggdrasil. Bifrost bridge of the gods burns in bright flame in the holy waters Thebe. The rivers Glath and Gleir, Skimbrir, Snir, Gisilfafnir, Gultrop, Lefady, the gods of Asgard ride their horses every day over these when they go to meet at the tree Yggdrasil. Beneath the tree Yggdrasil are 3 roots which grow 3 directions, and hell is beneath one. Jotunheim beneath another, Midgard beneath the third. A squirrel named Ratosk, he runs along the trunk of Yggdrasil and takes the words of the eagle, tells his insults to Nidhogg below, which is the dragon that eats the roots. There are 4 deer who stretch out their necks and eat the leaves of Yggdrasil. Dane, Dalvin, Danir, Durtor. No fool has ever guessed how many serpents lie beneath Yggdrasil. I think that Goen, Monen, Grabak, Grafhult, Ofnir, Safnir, sons of the snake, Grafnir, will always gnaw that tree's roots. The tree Yggdrasil endures more pain than any men guess. It's eaten from above by the deer, on the side by rot, from beneath by serpents. And here where he does interpret us serpents, I take the serpents to be dragons because, again, I carry everything back to the dragons, and I say that the dragons be the giants which predate. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let me continue with the Grimnismal. Stanza 36. They bring my horn, my Valkyries, Hrist and Mist, Skegjold and Skogel, Hild, Trud, Hulk, Hirefeld, Gol, Garolo, Wangirt, Rotgirt, Rheinlife. They bring the Einjar beer. Those slender horses, Avrak, Osvild, lead the sun across the sky, and the gods have hidden cooling bellows beneath their legs. There's a shield named Sabol. It is set between Midgard and the sun, in front of the shining sun. I know the mountains and the sea would burn up entirely if that shield ever fell down from there. Skoll is the name of the wolf who chases the sun till it sets at evening in the woods. Another wolf named Hadi is near sun, and he runs in front of the sun behind the moon. The earth was formed from Ymir's flesh, and the sea from his blood, the rock from his bones, the trees from his hair, and the sky from his skull. And we had that back at the beginning in the creation. And again, Ymir was the original giant, and I equate the giants with the divine dragons as well. Continuing. Stanza 41. The happy gods formed Midgard for humans from Ymir's eyelashes. They formed all the grim clouds from his brains. Whoever first puts out the fire will have the help of all, and all the gods. The realms will be open to all the gods when the kettles are cooled. In ancient days, the dwarves made Sithbaltnir, the best of ships, for handsome Froy, the strong son of Njorth. The tree Yggdrasil, the best of trees. Skithbaltnir is the best ship. Odin, the best god. Sleipnir, the best horse. Bifrost, the best bridge. Bragi, the best poet. Habrok, the best hawk. Garm, the best dog. I have shown my face in the presence of gods. Now help is on its way. It will come to all the gods on Aegir's benches when they drink at Aegir's place, or Aegir's. I have called myself Grim. I have called myself Wanderer. That would be a good name, the Grim Wanderer. Well, that actually is what Grimnismal means. Love these old stories. I have called myself Grim. I have called myself Wanderer, Warrior, and Helmet Wearer. Famed one and third one, Thunder and Wave, Hellblind, and One Eye. Evildoer, Spellcaster, Masked, and Shadowface. Fool and Wise Man. Long hat, long beard, victory father, and war ready, all father, war father, rope rider, and hanged god. I have never been known by just one name since I first walked among men. They called me Shadowface here at Garroth's place, but Gelding at Osmald. They called me Driver when I pulled the sleds, and Mighty at the assembly. Among the gods I am called Wish Granter, Speaker, just as high, Shield Shaker, Ward, Wand Bearer, Graybeard, Wise and Wisdom Granter. Were my names at Sokmamir's hall when I deceived that old giant and I killed his famous son? I was his killer. You're drunk, Garroth. You have drank too much. You have lost too much. When you have lost my favor, you've lost the favor of Odin and all the Einherjar. I have told you much, and you'll remember little. Your friends will deceive you. I see the sword of my friend dripping with blood. Now Odin will have a weapon-killed man. I know your life has ended. Your guardian spirits are anxious. They see Odin here before you. Approach me if you can. Odin is my name. But before they called me Terror, and Thunder before that, and Waker, and Killer, and Confuser, and Orator God, Heat Maker, Sleep Maker, both Gelding and Father. I think all these names were used for me alone. King Garroth sat with his sword on his knee, halfway drawn, when he understood that this was Odin who had come to his hall. He stood up and wanted to take Odin out of the flames, but the sword fell out of his hand and fell hilt first to the ground. The king tripped and fell upon it, so that the sword pierced him through and he died. Then Odin left. Agnar was the king of that land for a long time afterward. Thus ends the Grimnismal, and thus ends our dragon story. I wish you a good night and blessed Yule. Oh, how do I turn this thing off? I'm gonna figure that out. Oh, Jiminy Christmas Crunch balls. There's got to be a place to turn it off somewhere. 'Tis the season. Yeah. Oh, is it that one? Ah, that's